This is the second lecture of microorganisms. Today we are going to discuss about nitrogen cycle, harmful microorganisms and food preservation. Hello students, now we are going to start with the topic nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle. Now already we have discussed this in the online classes that nitrogen fixation is what? This is the process by which free atmospheric nitrogen is converted into nitrogen compounds. So atmospheric nitrogen is converted into nitrogen compounds, and in nature it is fixed during the lightning or by any bacteria which are nitrogen fixing and blue-green algae. So fixation is very important, wherein we can see the atmospheric nitrogen is converted into nitrogen compounds. Now leguminous plants, as already we have discussed, as those plants that helps us to give us protein, and also those plants those have seeds inside the pods, they are called as leguminous plants. So like pea, soya bean, they have the nitrogen fixing bacteria in the root nodules. You can see here the nodules, and this rhizobium helps in fixing the nitrogen, and it is taken up by the plants, and then they are stored in the tissues, and in which form they are stored in the form of plant proteins. Then this nitrogen that is stored in the form of proteins passes on to the animals, those who feed on the plants, that is the herbivores, and then to the carnivores. Again, when these animals die, the nitrogen compounds that has been present in their bodies, when they are decomposed, they are returned into the soil. So dead bodies decompose, so they are again returned to the soil. So the nitrogen compounds are decomposed, and then that means the bodies are decomposed and nitrogen is given into the soil, and again they are absorbed by the plants, and some part will be converted into nitrogen and returned into the atmosphere. So all these things, that is fixing, then fixing from the soil, and then again returning into the atmosphere, is done by certain microorganisms which are called the bacteria. So the cycling of this nitrogen between the atmosphere, soil and organism is called the nitrogen cycle, and it is the cyclic process in which the atmospheric nitrogen enters the soil and becomes a part of the living organism, then again return to the atmosphere. So the cycle goes on, wherein you can see the atmospheric nitrogen enters the soil, then they get into the plant body, into the animal body, those who feed on plants, and then into the carnivores, and then return to the atmosphere. So this is a cycle which is called as nitrogen cycle. Now in this part you can see the picture of nitrogen cycle. See here, the nitrogen is fixed by the lightning, and the nitrogen fixing bacteria and blue-green algae, all they fix the nitrogen, then they are changed into nitrogen compounds in the soil. There is nitrogen fixing bacteria inside the root nodules of the leguminous plants, so they also fix the nitrogen. Then the plants are eaten by the animals, the herbivores, and then omnivores, and the carnivores also eat the herbivores. This way it goes on, and they excrete, they die, they decompose, and the nitrogen is released into the soil by the help of the bacteria, which is again fixed by the different bacteria present in the soil. Some will be fixed by the plant itself, and some will be released into the atmosphere. So this way a cycle goes on that is called the nitrogen cycle. So now is the environmental issues. Microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, they will act on the dead bodies and plants and convert them into simple substances. Now these substances are used by the other plants, and removal of the dead bodies by the action of the microbes keep our planet clean. So if there will be no microorganisms, our planet would be full of the dead bodies. So microorganisms have very important environmental uses. Now let us see about the harmful microorganisms. We have already discussed about the useful, but now we'll discuss about the harmful microorganisms. They can cause disease, or they can lead to food spoiling. Now the disease causing microorganisms are called as pathogens. Pathogens can travel through air, through water, and through food into our body. So what are these pathogens? These are disease causing microorganisms. Now they can enter our body through air, water and food. If the water is not good, if the water is unfit for drinking, then through them the microorganisms can enter our body through air also and through contaminated food also. Now the pathogens can enter the body and may cause disease in our body, and they can spread the disease from infected to the healthy persons. So they can be transmitted from infected person to the healthy person. So if one person is suffering from common cold, pathogens are released into the air and they enter into the body of healthy person, while the person can breathe in and they can also have cold. Similarly, now the situation is pandemic due to coronavirus. So this is also can be transmitted from one person to another. This is infectious, and they can travel through the air, through the droplets, and can enter a healthy person, causing the disease in the healthy person. And sometimes the insects also carry the disease from one person to another, acting as carriers. Like, malaria is caused by the female Anopheles mosquito. So when a female mosquito bites a person who is suffering from malaria, it will take the pathogen along with the blood from the person who is suffering from malaria. And the same mosquito bites another healthy person, the pathogens can enter his body with the blood. So the person can get infected with malaria. Similarly, a housefly can sit on the garbage and then they can infect the food items. If they sit on another food item which we are going to eat, they can infect the food items, because dust and dirt can stick to his body, and they can transmit these pathogens to food items and cause diseases. So the insects like mosquito, housefly, which transmit the pathogen from infected person to a healthy one, are known as carriers of the diseases. And the diseases that can be spread from one person to another is called as communicable disease or infectious disease. So the insects will act as carriers. They can carry the disease, and those diseases which can be spread from one person to another are called as communicable diseases, like malaria, cholera, typhoid, tuberculosis, ringworm, common cold, poliomyelitis, chickenpox. So many examples are there for communicable diseases in human beings. So if you can next see here in this page, that is food preservation. So if the food is spoiled, then there will be total loss. So there are different methods to preserve the food. So what is preservation? How food can be kept fresh for a long time. So what are the different methods? The process of treating and handling the food so that we can stop or slow down its spoilage. And we should maintain the nutritional value also, texture and flavor also. That process is called as food preservation. So how to maintain, how to follow different steps to slow down the spoilage or maintain a nutrition value of the food. So what are the main causes of this food damage or food spoilage? Is microorganisms. And so there should be some situation in food preservation that will involve the creating the conditions which will be unfavorable for the growth of the microorganisms. So food preservation methods, what they will do, either they will kill the microorganisms or prevent their reproduction. So different methods are to be followed, like boiling. So if you boil the food, then it will kill the germs and keep the food fresh for long. That is, milk and water can be boiled. Then dehydration. Sometimes while making pickles, you have seen, I think, that the fruits and vegetables are cut and put under the sun for drying. So this will remove the excess water. This is called sun drying. And if dehydration is done, then it will remove the moisture. It will not allow the microorganisms to grow there. Then refrigeration, this is keeping the food at low temperature where there is no microbial growth. So you have to keep the food in fridge. So we freeze it or keep it in low temperature. This will prevent the microbial or the microorganism growth and can be kept in deep freeze also, where you can keep the meat, fish and all these things to preserve it from any sort of spoilage. Then the food can be kept in cans, which is called as canning. Sometimes food from different parts of the world can be imported and exported by the method of canning. So where airtight cans are used for the preservation of the food items. And similarly jams, different types of canned fish, different types of canned items are available in the market, which keep the food fresh for long, preserved for long actually. Next, chemical preservatives can also be used for preserving different items like pickles, jams, jellies, squash, ketchups. So chemical preservatives like sodium benzoate, potassium metabisulfite, all these things, citric acid, can be used as chemical preservatives. Now, in your book, there are tables related to the communicable diseases in page number 33. I request all of you to follow the table so that you can understand easily which is the disease and what are the pathogen and how to prevent these diseases. Now we'll come to microorganisms and food spoilage, wherein you can see the microorganisms like fungi and bacteria. They are responsible for the spoilage of various foodstuffs. So, the main conditions that are required for the growth of the microorganism for food spoilage is warm temperature, air and moisture. So when they get all these situations, this situation is comfortable for the growth of the microorganism. Say like on the food, if it is kept outside or not kept in the refrigerator, so they'll get the warm temperature, air and moisture, and they'll grow there and lead to poisoning of the food or spoiling of the food. So, when the microorganism grows and produces poisonous substance, the food is unfit for drinking or eating. So, this leads to what is called as food poisoning, or when we eat poisonous food which is unfit for consumption, which is infected with microorganism, then they can produce various effects which is called as food poisoning. So how to detect whether there is food poisoning or not, or whether the food is spoiled or not? For that, you can see that the food is having bad smell. If you want to find out that whether the food is spoiled or not, then you can see that there is a very bad smell. You can find out the color, it is discolored than the original one. Then it can become sour or become of bad taste. It can produce gas, and also a cotton-like growth can be seen on the surface if it is totally damaged. So if you can see here that if you want to find out whether the food is damaged, whether the food is unfit for drinking or eating, then you have to find out all these things that are present. You have to detect whether the food is damaged, whether the food is unfit for eating, and whether the food will lead to poisonous effects in our body. So for this, you have to follow these points, that is foul odor or bad smell, the color goes, and there's bad taste, and there's gas, cotton-like growth is also there. And next point is salt, sugar and vinegar. They will also create an environment that will prevent the growth of the microbes, and then the microbes will not grow in those food that are added or marinated with salt, sugar, oil, vinegar. So for that we marinate chicken and mutton and then cook, and while marination the microbial growth is prevented. So meats, pickles, jams, jellies, vegetables can be kept for long by adding salt, sugar, oil, vinegar like this, and this will also increase the flavor and will prevent the growth of the microorganisms. And the last and the very important point is pasteurization, wherein the food is heated to a high temperature and then suddenly it is cooled down. So while heating and cooling during this way, the harmful microorganisms are destroyed, but the composition, but the flavor, but the nutritive value of the food is not destroyed. So this process is very important for preserving milk. Boiling it at high temperature and again suddenly cooling it down rapidly, and this was named after the scientist Louis Pasteur, and so the name is what? Pasteurization. So if you can see the milk that is available in the Tetra packs, they are pasteurized milk. So they are heated to a high temperature for about half minute and then suddenly it is cooled. So they can be stored at temperatures lower than 10 degrees centigrade. and if you bring those milk at home, you can easily drink it. It can come from far away from our state, but you can easily drink it because they are already pasteurized and the germs are not allowed to grow there. So already they are preserved. So these were the different ways of preservation of food. And food preservation, what is this? This is the process of treating and handling the food. And what is the goal? To stop or slow down the growth of the microorganism, but the nutrition value, the taste and the flavor remains the same. So students, this was all about the lesson about microorganisms, and we have completed by understanding about the utility of microorganism. We have understood the harmful microorganisms, and the last part we have understood about the preservation of food. So I think all of you will go through the chapter once and you see the videos, follow the lesson and clear your doubts in the next class.